Moreover, this is not the end of this panel. We wish now to have the opportunity to have all of you here in order to go a little bit deeper in some points of our discussion today. And for this, I also invite all the people attending here in the room to prepare one question about what they heard this morning, and we will listen the questions in a while. In the meantime, I dare to try to make a small synthesis. We heard a lot about digitalization. So, in my opinion, what we understand is that digitalization is really happening when, by applying new technology, suddenly something which was not possible before becomes possible. And it is really applied, whatever it is, a new product, a new service, a new system, or a new business model. Or maybe all of these together, which is sometimes the case. So something having really a big impact in the sector where digitalization happens. So I would like to ask each of you if you share this definition, and also to try to explain if you see gaps in railways which can prevent this digitalization to happen, and how to overcome them. Maybe we can start from Libor here.
Okay, thank you. I mean, what I usually say, when we start talking about digitalization, digitalization is a buzzword. We have to implement the new technologies, because if we don't do it, then we will not win the customers. So that's simply anything what is new available on the market, let's say the technology needs to be deployed. Now, so that's very key for me. And if the other modes, and I read it because I have to follow that from this perspective of the competitiveness and the regulation. If we don't do it, the other modes will do it, and we will die. Now, what are the risks here? The risk is obviously that we are in not very, let's say, comfortable situation with regards to the profit making from our businesses. So on one side, we have to be more efficient, more attractive, and on the other side, we do not produce enough profit to accumulate resources for the research and development. So that's of course the risk I see here. That whilst the other industries are having more robust resources because of making higher or generating higher profits, we will have the difficulties probably constantly with that for a number of years to come. And that's why, if we have the program like Shift to Rail or Future Shift to Rail 2, we really have to make the best use of that. We really have to be more focused, and we have to go straight to what can be implemented. This is the way how we can avoid the risk of coming from a situation that even with a small amount of money, we will not be able to do anything. And certainly we can't only rely on the Shift to Rail, because also on the side of the companies and development there, we need to be more efficient and productive with regards to the implementation of the technologies to avoid such a risk of not delivering. And I said that whether it's called digitalization or the intelligent technology or anything else which help railways, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that we have to be cheaper than the competition is, and we have to be also more attractive for the customers.
Maybe only one point that can be of interest. I think that all of the speaker consider is that I think one of the gaps that we need to address is the way we deploy new technologies and the time that is needed to do this. I was discussing in our membership one project related to ATO, and we ended up in submitting documents assessment from a more technical point of view to go to systems, and the comment between submission and possible outcome would be more than 6 months. And if you, each document you did 6 months, in 10 years we are still discussing about documents. And I think we need, what we have seen in many other sectors, in other modes of transport, they decide to put something in a system, they do, and they test it. And sometimes, unfortunately, we pay the cost, we are paying the cost for it. So, while we should not change the safety level and the factor of safety level that we have in the railway system, we should maybe look at it in a way to approach it in a completely different manner. And there are a few examples. For example, in the south of Italy, we had accidents for train colliding, and we have technologies today that are not C4 clearly, but would provide support to the driver to reduce such risk. But we cannot make use of them because the legislation says that it's preferable to have two people with the phones than to test something else. So I believe this one of the gaps that we need to address is how we are accelerating to bring technologies in operation without undermining the safety of the people in the train or around, but that we can bring into the market. And we see that is happening. So we have some people that are more risk taker and less, but we don't have a systematic approach to this. And I think this is one of the major obstacles. And digitalization doesn't work. So this is something that something that's today available is already obsolete tomorrow. So we need to really to accelerate this process.
I'm sorry that I'm now taking the word. It was not intentional. But just to the point of what happened, for example, in South Italy, it's just a demonstration again that we need to work not only in the, I would say, the bubble of engineers.
Yeah.
We have to work also in a broader context on environment. In this case, for example, is the National Safety Authority of the Ministry. And we have to be convincing to them that there is a need for change. And not just preparing the...
I disagree.
You disagree?
It's not a national problem. In the Netherlands, we see that we're not allowed to implement national improvements because Europe says you should only improve by installing ERTMS. We had big fights on improving our local security by local solutions that we could do immediately, quickly, and be safer for our passengers, and we're not allowed to do it because we should deploy ERTMS. So it's exactly because we have all these European standardization kind of things that you cannot do the things we can do in cars and do a good local solution.
If I like to, I mean, now I also disagree. And this is because you are perfectly right that the ultimate and target system is the ERTMS. But it doesn't prevent, implementing I would say the temporary schemes that can improve the safety, because you can still integrate in the safety management system and let them certify by the National Safety Authority. You can do so because, of course, what would be absolutely I would say unacceptable, and I agree that we have a couple of NSAs behaving in this way. You have either the current system or you migrate totally to the interoperable one, which is ERTMS, and there is nothing in between. But this is where the NSA have to show certain flexibility. I'm sorry.
That's why I like you say be modest in your standardization.
Yeah. I mean, they have to work with the railway for showing the flexibility. Otherwise, we are totally stuck. And we will never be able to migrate and be competitive because ERTMS, of course, is not super cheap technology for all the lines, including the one of the secondary somewhere connecting, I would say, 10 trains a day. I totally agree with you.
So
I'm sorry that I have completely disrupted our
That's the
discussion.
key in this digitalization. How can you do local things quickly without the burden of all kinds of standardization?
That's the point, yes. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm very happy that I didn't have to apply to solve that problem. So thank you very much. Yeah, we had this very interesting discussion in the railway sector on how to get more funding or secure what we have in the next financial framework. So that's one of the big issues. So what do we do with digitalization and the new financial framework? Is it a business advantage? So should we bring in blending tools? So do we bring in private capital? Or is it too risky to bring in private capital, and we go for grants, classical grants, which are fading away like snow in the sun. So that's a big issue. So funding is a big issue. You raised it also. National legislation or European legislation is a bit, it's helpful, but it can also be actually lock you in, and that is always how much can a system still move if there's a standard. So that's always an issue. Another thing is also, as I said, is the systems are becoming more complex. With these add-ons and the upgrades, etc., etc., you have a bit of a wilderness now and a proliferation of different applications, but you do not really have anybody mastering their overall system. I've never met anybody who said, okay, in this system we bring in this kind of application and it does exactly that. You do not really see this. Or do a correlation on the business advantage of ATO. Some says it's great, some others said, I don't see it so great. So which parameters do you put into play? So this system knowledge is a bit gone. Now I see maybe people smiling and say, oh, okay, in an integrated system, there should be more existing than in a separated one. I doubt it. But the knowledge and the exchange, like ICT and rail, for example, is a perfect place actually to discuss it for example rail. So how to master a system which is actually evolving from a classical non-digital to a digital system with new functions and also with new responsibilities. So the classical silo, I have a financial department, operational department, maintenance department, this will blur away. Since you will have more horizontal things, and my chaotic chart at the end of the presentation shows that maybe you have more teams be allocated around a specific objective, making railways faster or making railways more secure. And then you have someone from the finance department, someone from the maintenance department, someone from the operational department. So these are the really big drivers where I don't know how much impact we will see. If you ask me in the next 5 years, I can give you an answer. Now it's really very hypothetical. But the systems will change, the interaction between the systems will change, and also the way people work together will change quite a lot. So it's not an answer, it's just really a prediction.
On my side, I just want to say that I fully agree with what you said. Funding was certainly an issue. And today, what I mentioned is that there are other sectors simply that remains what we are today. Take the offensive of the self-driving, the automotive industry for the self-driving cars, it's immense. Today, when there is an informal Transport and Environment Council organized in the presidency, it's always about self-driving. Not about rail. It was the case during the Dutch presidency, and we know that during the Austrian presidency, it will be again on the self-driving car. It shows that something is going on for our sector. Second thing is that, of course, the issue for us is that we have to deliver, all of us, and because we are making presentations about what are the objectives of the rail supply industry and the members of the sectors, but sometimes promise to deliver, and what I like in the pressure that Carol is putting on all the members of she raised that he's asking for quick wins. Says we cannot ask the Parliament and the Council of Ministers to put half $1 billion on the table if there are no quick wins. And I think it's absolutely essential to show that there are some results and that the European taxpayers, because that's how the debate between all the sectors, taxpayers, they will say, okay, I'm convinced that things are going in the right direction, I will put the money on the table. The other thing I can say, which is quite positive, is that on ships rail, as it is a joint undertaking, our sectors are putting a bit more than half the money on the table, which is also interesting position for us, which shows that we are committed, and when the Commission or the EU institution put money on the table, we put the money on the table as well, which is something which is very interesting. But I think that the last point
will be 4 little points. One is, for me, digitalization is more a human factor change project than a technological change. We have to change our way of thinking, our today process, or perhaps to stop to think as in the past and think differently. We have to put in place what we could dream in the past, yesterday, but we have to put in place not tomorrow, today. Perhaps step by step, as said before, by quick wins, and we have really to change our way of thinking. For example, we spoke about safety. We could realize a seal4 system only with many construction stone or seal0, seal2 system. You can demonstrate a seal4 with artificial intelligence. If you have built them, depends what you put behind, if you have designed them in the right way, and this kind of thing, we have to think differently. It's a huge opportunity to renew our way of thinking the right way from today and tomorrow. And this needs a collaboration very strong between supplier, customer, railways. And when he knows how to use, how to build, how to put in place, and we have to speak together. If we are split, cars, I don't know, boat, ships, plane will win the battle and we will disappear. So we have to survive and to change our way of thinking, to change our segmentation. The last thing, but you will not be surprised, is cyber security, security in general, cyber in particular, and this, the link with the safety. This is a real connection. We cannot have a team about security, a team about safety. We have to work together, and this can only be understood by, if you have in your multi-technical team, people from the track, for the signaling, for the operations, and asset management. We are more clever together in a collective intelligence that alone I am the expert on cyber. No, you are expert in nothing. We have to learn, we have to be members. And so I can perhaps say it could be for Carlo, DG Connect and DG Move on this topic has to shake their hand and work together. It's not a problem, the security is on the Connect side. No, it's not only telecom, it's critical system, it's organization, it's the topology, there is a lot of things to do together. And so it is a new paradigm we have to face, but it is a new opportunity to. We have to think differently, but I said it before. It's that.
Okay. I think you will have an opportunity to reply in a while, but before I would like to hear some questions from the floor. If there are, I think, several hands. So, please.
Just a question is you, sir. We've seen the problem of the as concurrent. The problem, as we said, is that we believed that with climate change we had some very big opportunity. This is not my words. Also, you have heard by Renato Mazzoncini, but with the progress in the car, in autonomous car, and with the possibility to share the cars, we have this new, very sustainable form of traveling that is a direct concurrent of the trains. So this is for sure is a big issue for the trains. But I would like to add something that I've not heard in the presentation. I come from the south. For us, as it looks like from the south of Italy, we really love the luggages. So when I move with my family, I have a lot of luggages, bicycles, everything. I have no opportunity to take the train because on trains I cannot take luggages, or at least not the way I am accustomed. So when we think about door-to-door, what about the luggages? As Mr. Lockman says, we have not the technology now to know where the luggages are Okay? So when we will provide some services in which I travel, luggages will travel without me, and I can trace where are the luggages, so I can really be competitive with the cars. Because most of the times that I take the car is because I have luggages, otherwise I will use public services. And about the fact that the competition is now, I live in Rome, and for me to go to the center now is already, when I'm with my wife and my daughters, is more competitive to take this a shared car than to take the metro. Right now, not in 5 years, is more convenient to take a shared car. So we can imagine in 5 years what will happen. So what about the luggages? And the menace is already here.
Maybe the idea, just from the infrastructure side, which we're thinking to unify as manufacturers and to leave operating this rolling stock, is to have coaches on demand, like for example Shift to Rail does it, so that at a certain stage you have coaches which arrive when you have a certain critical mass on platform, and then actually you can go. I already see someone behind saying no, probably not, but who knows? I mean, digital may be possible. I think it's possible. So when you're with your daughter, so you are a little group, so you take your dog and then maybe the neighbor, the coach is coming to, and then you have the coach for yourself. That's maybe a solution. Coaches will be smaller. I don't know whether this is possible, but these are things where you go away from the mass transportation and from the plan, from the timetabling one, and you go more to a customized, on-demand service. This is what I see and what I understood from Shift to Rail.
Amazon is capable to deliver every kind of good almost for free in every part of the world. Is it not possible to join this with the travel in trains?
And we could deliver this within 2 years if we want to, if we together make a good IT solution. Just on having somebody take his luggage and guard it while being on the train, you can make a very simple, say, student traveling on that train, guarding his luggage, and that would solve it, and not solve it in 10 years. But the good thing from Mr. Anthony, he said within 4 years we'll have 30% less cost in the world. So that's very good. So that means that the operators have more profit, and that will leave us with more cash, and we can increment. So it needs that we have, in 4 years we have 30% reduction, so in 1 year we have 10% reduction, and 10% less access charges will leave the operators with a lot more money, so we can guard your luggage for free and get you on the train. It's that simple. But get going, get this 10% in 1 year, and get the digitization to get indeed next year to 10% lower access charges. That's the point, because otherwise we won't have double the capacity in half the price, which was in the first sheet of, I think, Mr. Borgini, which was the Shift Rail. So that's in 10 years we'll have twice the capacity for half the price, and in 4 years for the UEC, 30% reduction. But be serious about that, because if we have it, we'll have money, we can accelerate, and we can innovate. It's that simple.
What I said is the common target. When I talk with the different CEOs, Uclamo and so on, they have different words. But if you can summarize the target, it's more or less the same. The target is we have to do our best in the present, today, day-to-day life, to reduce our operation maintenance cost for an infrastructure manager for more or less 30% in 4 years. It is the common target. You speak with Pierre Rizard, with Luc Lallemand, and so on. It's more or less always the same. I don't say we will reach, but it is the target, and I hope if we move all together, it is possible. Second thing, for the luggage, you know that in any train in France, for example, there is a possibility to take a train in Strasbourg to go with 1 or 2 luggage and give to the service, and you will take the plane. I don't know, to go everywhere in the world, and you will find your luggage on the other side. So this kind of service is exist already on any company, any lines. Of course, how make this business model available and when it is, and with digital, I'm sure we will be more flexible to follow your luggage, to find this kind of thing, and to connect with the plane industry. That, as Philippe said before, we have on the iPhone our ticketing, boarding pass with the date and all. It could be the same, and we should perhaps have the same thing between train, planes. Why not? We have to work together and to exchange baggage, luggage, and ticketing. We have to.
I have two small comments. When maybe for E, we need to consider the luggage issue part of IT. If you integrate the big luggage, I think it will be something that affects it. But going back to the point, it's true. The railway system, I think, is under pressure as never been before, and it's not coming because to a certain extent, we never considered to capture passengers. We are thinking that we have some people coming on board and this would they have to take or leave. And now we wake up because someone says, well, we can do something better. I said before, it's the Tesla and iPhone situation that you have seen in the car sector, in the iPhone sector, and you end up as a Nokia or any other brands that we know disappear to a certain extent, or become to the forefront. But once again, I was, Philippe went before me, but I was in July in Austria, in one of the major manufacturers for the rail. They were saying they take for them 5 years to put a new piece of iron, so a rail, after being tested. They need to have tested it for 200 million tons on the track before being tested. How much it costs, this piece of rail? Well, if you take 10 years from when you have the development, the idea, when you bring it to the market, and start to bring to the market, you cannot expect that it will be so cheap. Because the investment, so only financial, that is to take forever. So, it's all the system that has to look, as like Libor was saying before, we have really everyone around the table, okay, that has to look at the different issues. And if I go, for example, on the question that was brought forward by the Dutch colleague before, was what we are trying to do in Shift to Rail, and the question of the quick wins we are pushing for, is the idea to say, maybe we don't have the final solution, because the final solution is too early to have, it's too complex, or it takes forever. But we can have a quick win that is not the final solution, but is a transition way to the final solution. So what I'm saying is that we may have, in any case, the interest to go towards ERTMS or the next gen of ERTMS, whatever it will be in the future, but we can go also maybe finding the way to bring inside some transition point. Because otherwise the risk is that nothing will happen. And for example, when you talk about mobility, the service, and Monica point on the coach on demand, if you go on the website of Siemens and you look at the ANT project, it's there. It's designed, there are concepts behind, and they are starting to think where we can be used. Automation will allow. You can have the famous one wagon, like a one coach, going and be available without a major problem at low cost. We are bringing the intelligence from the side infrastructure to the onboard of the train. So all these type of things will come. But the question is that how fast we are going to bring them to the market. And I think we should also work, and with the regulator, we are trying to work as much as we can with the European Agency for Railways, exactly to address this type of question. Because clearly, as I said before, safety is a condition that no one will accept to change. No one will accept any change in the safety level. But we need to check if the model we are using to determine the safety is the correct one. Because aviation uses completely different model. And this, I think, is where we work together.
Just I will add a few issues. I mean, first, back to this point of inability to implement the new technology even on a temporary basis. This is something that we really have to talk to the NSA, and we probably have to bring it also back to the framework of the European Union Agency of Railways, so talking to Joseph about it, because certainly it's and it will reach. Because it's certainly wrong, to have a consideration, and we don't know it only from Netherlands, we have spotted it other places as well, that there is an interop directive, there is a TSR, so you have to apply it in full, and that's it. But as I said, that such a rigid approach is not even anchored in the legislation. That's something that people have to have in mind, that if you can improve the safety, there must be a way how you do it without jeopardizing interoperability or the competitiveness in the case of the various trains operating the line. The second issue was about this aspect that you prefer now taking car sharing or whatever, Uber or whatever you wish instead of the public transport. I remember when it was discussed also on the platform of UITP, which integrates all variety of the public transportation system, including rail, obviously. And they know that they have to wake up very quickly as well, how they can bring and connect all the opportunities for the transportation mobility in the cities, so that you will be given an options how to travel, and not that you yourself make a choice because you don't see the other. And it is also that the public transportation companies should be involved in the car sharing as well, so they integrate that service. So that's something that needs to come, which will be, by the way, coming also with implementation of the new technologies. I'm sure it will. And then the last point, because I wish to reply to what, or respond to what Mark has said about let's connect DG Connect and DG Move. I mean, I would see differently. Let's do it on our side. Why should we ask the Commission, which is not present, I would say it in a way, but why should we ask the Commission for a solution? It's us to find a solution and to bring the solution, if needed be, on the table of the Commission, so that this is the piece of the regulation we need to change. And not that we need to tell them, yeah, we have a problem, could you please try to find a solution for us? No, please, don't do that.
Maybe there were some more questions. I think yes. Okay.
Okay, so hello, my name is, first of all, thank you very much for the presentation. It was very interesting. My name is Vasilis Yaakov. I'm working at DB Cargo, and we allocated all resources of system engineering in DB Cargo because at the moment we are very worried about cargo, and the situation in cargo is really crucial, so I don't want to open the ETCS topic. Why it's so crucial? Because I don't want to stress it. My concern is at the moment, we try to change in the last years already the business models, we try to change the methods, we try already to set up projects, and nothing happened, nobody was ready. And from my understanding today is, if you don't change something, there will be no digitalization because there's no rail business anymore. This is my point of view. Maybe this is very provocative, but this is my point of view. So my question is to you, we have to change the business models. We have to work closer together with the industry. I know there's a Shift to Rail project, but for me, I have a different point of view of this. And why are we ready to change the methods? Why are we now ready to change the business models, but we will not be able to change it in the past 5 years or 10 years, and we are already way too late for the digitalization. It's the reason why we are in this bad situation now. Maybe to the UNIFE and to the SER. So. Yes.
Has your company been ready 5 years ago?
No, I don't. So I don't say that it's a problem of the industry. I say it's a general problem of the sector.
Yeah, but now you only move when it hurts. So what has happened that you move because you are hurted somewhere? It's because you have competitors, and you see the market changing, and you see it started with the Uber, with the digital applications in landbound is always car, you see, and it started there. Then you started to have the drones, you started to have Amazon using drones for package deliveries, you started to see these interconnected things, you see, it's like the effect like Kodak. Oh, we're using, there is a new sort of photography. Everything fine, not for us. It's a Nokia effect. And I think the trigger for Deutsche Bahn in particular was when they went over to California. And this is where I said, oh, we get swallowed by Google. Because Google looked at Deutsche Bahn and said, who are you? Because we could buy you 100 times. And this is, I think, that changed a lot of things. And then Deutsche Bahn turned around and said, are there do we have more colleagues who have the same thinking? And that wasn't the case. And if you cannot work in isolation, especially not in freight. So then this is where you started to see SBBs, you see perhaps BLS a little bit, ÖBB, I don't know, France, suddenly they realized, oh, the Google effect may have, or the Booking.com may have an effect on us. And this is when they started to move, because that was so dangerous, delivering, I mean, that the tickets or the services being sold by third party, and for me that was the tsunami that changed everything. And then, of course, you have the digitalization coming up everywhere, and this is where Deutsche Bahn really made a shift, you see, and it's now on the highest board level that you have a board member just checking on digitalization. And this is now, there is always one first mover who is so afraid of something else could happen to him. And that in that case, I don't know whether it was SBB or Deutsche Bahn, I think it was Deutsche Bahn being the first one. And now you see all the possibilities, but now you are hungry to see this in place, and this is where things don't happen. You see, this is too long in terms of time to market, because it takes quite a lot of time. You have a lot of digital labs and things like that, also internally, to make the mind shift. It's not so easy. Look at maintenance, just maintenance on track, intelligence maintenance. You do pilots here, you pilots there, but you see the real effect you don't see yet. This will come in the next 2, 3, 4 years. That's fine. So if you have predictive maintenance, which is much more reactive, it's good. But you need this also. I look at rail freight corridors, I look at Rastatt. You have one little incident and the whole system breaks down. And all your beautiful KPIs and all your performance is going down the drain. And this way you see you cannot do it alone anymore. And this is why it's getting slower. The more actors you add to the system, the slower it becomes, because the slowest one is actually dictating the speed.
Can I respond to this? Because we're talking about digitalization, but we're talking more about implementation of technologies that we can develop that are actually available. And so I don't think we should develop something for ticketing and this kind of stuff. It can be done by Google. Then it's integrated. So you have the different options. I think the organizations here should concentrate on what their strength is and what they're ordered for. So if you look at, for example, at the infrastructure managers, if I give you one story, talking about freight, we as Strukton are responsible for the last mile. There was a customer came to us and said, we have a budget. Can you please do our area and then connect it to the main line? And by the way, this is our budget, and can you finish it by the 1st of January? We couldn't finish it. Do you know why? The infrastructure manager didn't let us connect it to the main line. So that's the end of the story. That's the end of the story for this customer. He will go and buy lorries. So it is here, it is not about the options that you have digital, but it is about the physical option to have access to the network. And that's the power that you have, and that you can do something much faster. Time to market is then important. So it is actually about the implementation of the technologies that quite often are available.
Another question.
Thank you, Krishna Pandit from Siemens. I would like to ask a question, especially in the context of shift to rail. I mean, there are many projects of shift to rail which somewhat work with cybersecurity. Like in the X2Rail, there is even a own work package. In Connector, there are work packages. Is there some idea or plan to have some sort of a roof for all the cybersecurity activities? And then I would even further like to connect it with what Mr. Marmo said in the introduction, that on the importance of standardization. I mean, it's clear to every one of us we have to move fast in the standardization, but it's also clear to every one of us that it's always difficult to find the resources. So is there any plan to somehow bring these two worlds together, shift to rail and the standardization, and somehow get in the end to faster standards? Thank you.
Yeah, I will try to provide an answer. Yes, as I said before, I don't believe that we need to develop our own model. I think we need to make use of the model developed in other sector and work together. As I said many times, to go back to the approach, I think they should take the leadership to develop a strategy for cybersecurity for all modes of transport, because we have the same problem. And what we are trying to do in Shift today is to try to bring IP2 as a leading group of all these, as I said before, because for us it's the traffic management, and we go around all this, and try to have all under the umbrella of this work done in IP2 and the CCA. The issue that we have here is we don't have so much money to do this type of work. My fear is that, well, I think also Mark said before, we may implement the existing standard from the industry. There are plenty of them. So there is work going on in which we are trying to define which are the standard applicable and how this can be affecting all the different segments. I reviewed the document by chance because nobody is my program manager, but by chance I was curious to see about cybersecurity myself. And I saw effectively that we are not looking what's going on in the other sectors. So we are looking at what is going on in railway, which are the standard, while other sectors are already developing something more.
One last question. Why aren't we learning from our own sector? For example, in the Netherlands, lots of tickets are currently not sold by operators, but there's actually a car rental company now doing the government contract for all government employees on rail and bus transports. They are the intermediates, and that's a very good model. They keep the buses and the trains awake, and so it's like on freight where you have the how do you say that? The baziers, do you know that? The people that actually load the trains? And get on the interface between the rail operators and the people that actually do the transport for the end customer, and make sure that that interface is competitive, that they have options, so that they can choose actually between DB Cargo and Lineas and whatever, and they have the feeling they have choices, and you get innovations on the business models. This is not about the iron, this is about the business models, as far as I'm concerned. Because that way all the operators will start to move, and that way also the infrastructure managers will be forced to move. And that will be done, all communicated, of course, digitally. I'm not going to send fax.
I think that the word used by Monica, tsunami, the right word. I think in the past, let's say 5 years, things have been changing so much in our personal life and everything. And when we see that politicians are so impressed by the self-driving cars, which will not solve at all the issues of the congestion, but they want to put money on this, and now wherever the people from Hyperloop goes, everybody is absolutely impressed by Hyperloop, which maybe will work in the next few years. So we have to react to it, and if we don't react, the politicians will not continue to put money for the rail sector.
But
well, it's up to us nobody is speaking to react, and my feeling is that there is now people are aware that they don't do anything, we can disappear, and then we could be in the situation that has been presented by Carlo, where there will be only one train from time to time on a line, and that's it.
Very quickly. There's another aspect which is very important. So core business and non-core business. That's for infrastructure, cargo, passenger, whatever. We always had customized things. So a splendid system in isolation. Everything is, we have GSM-R, so we have everything just for railways. Now with digitalization, the borders are breaking up. And so you have to accept non-railway actors in your system, and also hand over a piece of functions which you don't understand. You know you have to do something without it. You don't have the resources in-house, and you have to give it away to labs. So I see with great interest the digital labs and the hackathons of Deutsche Bahn. So where you are so, the system becomes so complex and you don't know what's on the market. So you don't know what's all on the market. Nobody has an overview what's all possible. You have 20,000 consultants, 20,000 applicants, and so who's the best one? You don't know. So the hackathon idea is a good one. You put different teams into competition, and then you look into how to solve a certain problem. So you accept to give away some data from infrastructure, from train movements, give them away, and then it comes back that, wow, but you don't have a department in-house to actually, you see, implement this, or to set this into the existing system. So how do you do this? Do you outsource this and do a subsidiary and you let the IT company run it? Or do you hire these people, you take over the lab, and then you run it internally? How much do you manage in the future? I think for the established railway systems, whoever it is, manufacturers, operators, infrastructure, the system as such, like the silos, but also the rail only, or infrastructure only, or operator only, time is over. So, and how to manage this and how to keep the overview, that's one of the biggest challenges, which I also see. So, because you don't know what you're seeing, because the evolution is so quickly.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, our time is finished. I have been informed that lunch is ready for all of us. I thank you very much, all the speakers, for their very important contribution to this panel. And also I thank you, the attendees, and invite you to join us for lunch. Thank you very much.